Welcome back, everyone. We're kicking off today's deep dive with a story that's part history, part family drama, and part treasure hunt.
Sounds intriguing.
It is. Picture this. A prestigious New York auction house, 2024, packed with collectors eager to bid on some of the rarest coins in the world. But here's the catch. These coins have been locked away for a century.
100 years. That's quite the time capsule.
It gets even better. This wasn't some forgotten attic collection. This was meticulously planned. A man named Emil Bruun back in the early 1900s decided his coin collection would have a ripple effect on the world 100 years later.
Okay, I'm hooked already. So who was this Emil Bruun? What made him decide to stash his collection away for a whole century?
Well, let's rewind back to Denmark in the 1850s. Imagine a young Lars Emil Bruun, fascinated by the stories coins whispered. It wasn't just their monetary value, but the history they held. This fascination grew into a lifelong passion.
So this wasn't just some rich guy dabbling in coin collecting. This was a passion project from childhood.
Exactly. And what's interesting is that Bruun wasn't born into wealth. He built his fortune in, believe it or not, the butter industry.
Butter.
Yeah, butter. And his success allowed him to amass a collection of over 20,000 coins, medals, tokens, banknotes, spanning Denmark, Norway, and Sweden.
Wow. That's a huge collection, and it sounds like it was more like a historical archive than just a personal hobby.
You're right. For Bruun, these coins were tangible pieces of history.
Yeah.
And that leads us to the 100-year stipulation in his will written after World War I. Europe was in turmoil, and he feared for the future.
So this wasn't just about creating some elaborate treasure hunt for his descendants.
Not exactly. He saw his collection as a potential safety net, a reserve for Denmark in case of another disaster, and he believed the century-long wait would make the inheritance more impactful.
Now, I'm curious, did anyone try to challenge that? Well, I mean, 100 years is a long time to wait.
Oh, absolutely. There were numerous attempts by Bruun's descendants to break the will, to get early access to the collection, but Bruun had planned for that too. His legal team created an ironclad document, no loopholes.
Wow, talk about long-term planning.
I know, right? And I can only imagine the family drama that unfolded over those 100 years.
Ew, definitely.
But ultimately, the will stood firm, and in 2024, the Emil Bruun collection was finally unveiled to the world.
What a moment that must have been.
Can you imagine a century's worth of anticipation culminating in that reveal? The expert from Stax Bowers, Viken Jagperian, was blown away. He called it the most valuable collection of world coins to ever come to market.
And how much was it worth?
An estimated $72 million, all meticulously planned by a butter tycoon from the 1800s.
Amazing. So we've got this vast collection worth millions. What were some of the standout pieces? All gold coins and ancient relics.
Not exactly. While there were valuable gold coins, what made this collection remarkable was its scope, the historical significance of many pieces. Coins from times of war, political intrigue, major shifts in power. Each one a tiny window into a pivotal moment in Scandinavian history.
Like holding a piece of history in your hand.
Precisely. So like each coin's a little time capsule, holding a piece of Scandinavian history.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. One that comes to mind is a gold coin from Christian IV's reign, 10 ducat piece, minted in 1644. Now, that was a time when Denmark was trying to, become a major power in the Baltic region.
So the value's not just in the gold or how old it is. The context, what was happening in the world, that matters too.
You got it. Think about holding this coin. It's not just money. It's a symbol of power, of ambition, right? You've got Christian IV, known for his grand projects, buildings, military campaigns. He wanted to expand Denmark's influence. And this coin, the design, the gold content, it reflects that.
Wow, so it's like a tiny tangible link to that king's ambition. What else was hidden in Bruun's collection? I'm picturing like chests overflowing with ancient gold.
Well, there was gold for sure, but Bruun didn't just go for the flashy stuff. He knew his coins, their rarity, their historical significance. For example, there were rare silver coins from Frederick III's reign, the time when Denmark shifted to absolute monarchy, big reforms happening.
So not just shiny treasure, but coins that mark turning points in history. Were there any that were like one-of-a-kind, super rare finds?
Absolutely. Several in Bruun's collection were unique, only ones known to exist. That's where numismatics gets really exciting. It's not just collecting, it's research, authentication, piecing together history's puzzle.
How do they even know they're that rare? Is there like a global coin database experts check?
Not a database exactly, but a whole network of numismatic experts. They dedicate their lives to this, studying coins, origins, authenticity, like historical detectives, but with coins.
So Vikin Yekparian, that expert from the auction house, he must have been thrilled to see all this.
He was called some pieces museum quality. That's how historically important and rare they were.
And speaking of museums, there's another twist to this story.
Okay, I love a good twist. What is it? Remember, Bruun wanted to create a reserve for Denmark. Well, before the public auction, the National Museum of Denmark had the right of first refusal. They got to choose pieces for their own collection first.
Wow, first dibs on the rarest stuff. What'd they go for?
They picked strategically 7 rare coins, 6 gold, 1 silver, all from the 15th to 17th centuries. Pieces that filled gaps in their collection, crucial for understanding Danish and Scandinavian numismatic history.
Like they were completing a puzzle, those coins were the missing pieces. What happened to the rest?
Those went to public auction, so collectors worldwide got a shot at owning a piece of this incredible collection.
So Bruun's collection, after a century of waiting, it's out in the world. From Frederiksborg Castle to the National Bank, and finally some to the National Museum, some beyond. Quite a journey.
And there's more. Those descendants who waited 100 years, their story's important too.
Right, they finally got their inheritance. Must have been quite a payday, but also, I imagine, pretty emotional.
Definitely more than just money. Inheriting that legacy a century after your ancestor planned it, some saw it as a windfall, others a huge responsibility, honoring Bruun's vision.
That's amazing. Did any of them, like, carry on his legacy, support coin research, or start their own collections?
Some did, yeah. Some donated to numismatic societies. Others set up educational programs about coins, history. Really shows the power of Bruun's passion, his vision.
It makes you think, what will our own collections mean to people in the future? What stories will they tell?
That's a question we're thinking about, and it's something L.E. Bruun, with his foresight, his dedication, he's given us all a chance to consider that.
We've covered the history, the rare finds, even what happened to Bruun's descendants. But there's one thing I'm still wondering about. We keep talking about these million-dollar coins. What made them so valuable? Just age and the gold?
Nah, it's more than that. It's the whole story behind them. Bruun, he focused on Denmark, Norway, Sweden, right? He knew what made a coin rare, historically important. Like, there was this 10-ducat piece, Christian the Fourth of Denmark, minted in 1644. Europe was going through a lot of changes then, politically, economically, the works.
So like holding that coin, you're holding a piece of that drama.
Exactly. Christian the Fourth, ambitious guy, big projects, military campaigns, wanted Denmark to be a power player. The coin, its design, all that gold, it reflects that.
Amazing. What other historically significant pieces were there?
Well, there were those silver coins from Frederick III's reign, a time of major reforms in Denmark. They were shifting to absolute monarchy.
So Bruun wasn't just collecting for the money. He was capturing these moments in history.
That's it. And a lot of these coins, super rare. Some the only ones of their kind.
How'd they even know that? Some giant coin database they check.
Not a database, but a whole field of study. Numismatics. Experts like Vikin Yekparian, they spend their careers on this, tracing origins, authenticating, real detective work, but with coins.
So they're figuring out the rarity, the value, the whole story. And then remember, the National Museum of Denmark got to pick some before the public auction.
Right. They wanted pieces that filled gaps in their collection, told a fuller story of Danish, Scandinavian, numismatic history.
It's like Bruun's collection is still helping us understand history today. That's quite a legacy.
And, this whole story, it makes you think about thinking long term. Like, what if we all approach things that way? Our passions, our investments.
Incredible thought, isn't it? L.E. Bruun, a butter tycoon with a passion for coins, created something that's lasted through time. It really makes you think the next time you see a coin, remember, it could hold a century of secrets just waiting to be discovered. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.